Hey everyone, welcome to Goldilocks Automotive. My name is Alex, and in this episode, I'm going to teach you how to uninstall and reinstall the fan in your Mercedes M120 engine. Stay tuned. All right, before we start off, just a couple of quick notes. This is a fairly easy DIY. You'll probably be needing to do this multiple times throughout your ownership of a V12 car, just because you need access into the front with the belt and the pulleys and some other hoses. Now, in this video, I do talk about using a special kit. I highly recommend buying the kit. They're not too expensive. They're about $70 Canadian or about $50 American. There's a link in the description below with a shopping link where you can pick up your very own kit. You can do it without a kit. However, you do run the risk of ruining some of your radiator or even need to take out your radiator. You can do it with a few modified tools, but it's very difficult. The kit saves you lots of time and energy. I highly recommend it. All right, let's jump in and take a look at that kit and see what we need to do. All right, here is the kit that I linked in the description below. It is by 8 Mile Lake, and you can get it on Amazon. It's a great kit because it has some tools for both Mercedes and BMW. So it's in a decent blow molded case. I mean, the quality is what it is. This case was about $70 Canadian. And what do you get in it? Well, you get some pulley holding tools. So specifically this one could hold the water pump as well as the power steering pump pulley bolts to remove those. So that made my life easy. You have a couple other pulley holding tools for various cars. You are given a 32 millimeter wrench. You're given a 36 millimeter wrench. You're given the big one, 65 millimeter wrench. And then you're given a few tools up here. Now this is a flat breaker bar. This is gonna make your life so easy. You're given an 8 millimeter hex, looks like a 10 millimeter and maybe a 12 millimeter hex, and then a pin tool to hold various elements in places like pulley tensioners and the like. So for this job, we need the 65 millimeter, we need the flat breaker bar, we need the 8 millimeter. They also give you a little Allen key to hold the grub screw for the 8 millimeter so it doesn't fall out, which is handy dandy. All right, let's take a look at the front of the engine here. And as you can see, my M120 is missing a few things. If you're in the middle of my series, we are doing the valve cover gaskets on this V12 engine, and a lot of the parts are over there. But that doesn't matter. All that really matters is the front here. So I have taken apart all the hardware, so everything for me is going to come apart really easy, but that's just for the purpose of this demonstration. Okay, so one of the first things you'll need to remove is this plastic panel. And you simply just need to release the clips. And here's the underside view. So there's clips at the front. One there. One there. And then kind of these more like intermediary runners that you can see. Those clips at the front, they fit there, there, and they fit there. Okay, so just be careful when pulling off this plastic shroud. It could be brittle depending on the age of your car. So we'll set that aside. All right, next we need to remove some of the cooling hoses. So from the thermostat, you're going to want to unscrew your worm gear clamp here on the thermostat, and you will take this hose off the thermostat here. Now you're going to dribble some coolant out here, so be prepared to catch that down below. Next, before you remove this line, I would recommend taking off the upper radiator hose, right? So the easiest way I found is from the thermostat. And you will remove that. Naturally, it's easier with two hands. And you're going to essentially dump all coolant out through this hose that's sitting in the top. You don't need to empty your whole radiator for this job. It is not necessary, obviously, but it is unavoidable that you will lose some coolant. Okay, so we've taken that off the thermostat, and then you just come over here and remove the other side of the upper radiator hose. So set that aside again. With the upper radiator hose removed, we can remove this return line, and I usually just kind of set this aside over here. Just be careful not to kink it or anything like that. Okay, so the next piece is to remove the fan shroud. You don't need to remove the thermostat or anything like that. Just for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to get this thermostat out of the way so we don't have to deal with it. And I will plug that back up just so nothing falls in there. That's just to get it out of the way for this video. Okay, so next up is the front shroud guard. So this is two pieces. You can see the split line right here, and it's relatively straightforward. There's a clip at the top, and you kind of just push in the clip and then pull. That can come all the way out, and just leave that there for the moment. Now this one's labeled nicely, so it says the top, which is perfect for indexing later, and it says open and it says close, and that's just because it's kind of on a cam or a locking system. So it's pretty straightforward. Just turn this and slide that ring off, and let's let it hang over here for now, because you can't actually remove it until this shroud is out of the way. So next is removing the shroud, and it's also really straightforward. There are two clips, one here and one here. And so simply just take those clips and lift them up. Try and be steady for you on camera and also do this. There we go, one clip. And we will grab the second clip here. So those just pry up nice and easy. Okay. To remove this shroud, you're basically just lifting up. There are two tabs at the very bottom of the radiator. We'll see those in a second. One about here, one about here. And then there is a locating tab right here, as you can see right there. So this will just need to lift straight up. And if you can't get it, which is sometimes the case, you just need to pop your head under the bumper and just push with your finger to get that open. I went under the car, just popped it up, took 1 second, and as you can see, this shroud is designed just to clear that fan. Up and out, and then just be very gentle with your shroud. Sometimes they can get cracked easily. Pop that guy there. And then your inner ring can also follow suit and pop out. All right, so that is the fan shroud. And next we need to remove the fan. And so before we do that, I'm going to show you kind of the innards of the fan, what this fan looks like in person, so you can get a better view of what you're doing with limited space and visibility down there. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the fan so you can have a better understanding of what you're looking for when the fan is on the car and you can't see anything. So in the middle is your bolt. So this is the 8mm hex bolt, and that is what you're going to be putting that hex bolt in, or that hex key in, and using your flat bar to remove it. There's also this plastic cage that you can remove, although it's not necessary to remove this. If yours is broken, you can easily replace it. Now, I did mention that you can remove this fan without removing the radiator, and the way you do that is you actually remove these bolts here. Now, it's extremely tight. You can barely get a socket in there, and these are 10mm bolts. When you are removing these, once all 4 of these are off, this whole metal fan piece comes off the clutch. So if I turn it over, you can see those 4 tabs, and you can see the bolt showing through there. So this will slide off, leaving the fan attached by that 8mm hex bolt, by this one, on the car. And you can slide this out between the radiator and the fan clutch. However, it is very tight, and you run the risk of bending some of the fins on your engine, and I'll show you kind of what you might run into. So here we have the radiator, and as you can see, I had to take it off. I didn't have the tool at the time, and I bent a few fins. Now I was very careful, but these fins on a radiator bend very easily. So I highly, highly recommend getting this tool because you won't run into any of those problems. It makes your life so easy. With the fan off, I wanted to show you where you are placing the 65mm wrench because it's not quite as easy to see with the fan on. So as you can see, that pulley in the middle is the fan pulley, and you can see there's the metal flange on there. So your wrench is going to go on either side of that flange. If your flange is not oriented so that you can actually get your wrench on, like so, then you will need to likely undo your belt using the belt tensioner here. That is a 15mm bolt, and you use a breaker bar and you turn it to the right, so clockwise, to loosen, and you can pull the belt off, which allows this pulley to turn freely. However, in this case, the flange on my car is where I need it to be, and so this wrench slips on there. And as you can see, you have some decent purchase on there. You can get quite a lot of counter torque to the middle of the bolt. Okay, so now that you know what the fan looks like with the 8mm bolt in the middle and where you need to put the wrench, let's just grab our tools. So we're gonna grab our 65mm wrench, and I'm going to put that down on the flange. Okay, fits perfectly. And then I'm grabbing my 8mm socket on a flat bar from the kit, and we'll just gently pop that down into the middle until we feel it seat there. And yeah, so basically all we're doing is loosening that. So I'm gonna need 2 hands to loosen that. So let's get you guys into position here. Okay, nice and loose, there we go. Sometimes I have good luck with this, sometimes I don't. Loosening the bolt on here just by spinning it can sometimes work. Yep, there we go. All right, once you've got the bolt all the way out, you leave the bolt in there and you can just gently and carefully wiggle that fan off. Yours might be a little bit more stuck if you have some corrosion or anything on your fan, but it should come off pretty easily. There we go. Just try not to smack it too hard into your radiator. And out she comes. And so that's it for the fan. So now you have full access to all your bolts. You actually have quite a lot of room to work in here, right? You really have like about six inches or more in there. So you can access your power steering hoses really easily. You can access your belt tensioner there to remove the belt, work on that, whatever you need. It's now really wide open. And a lot of people say there's not a lot of room on V12 cars. Well, look how much room I have to the side to work on the engine. Look how much I have room to work on the front, the other side, and nothing is behind the firewall. So that is it for taking off your fan and your fan shroud for an M120 V12. Now let's reinstall everything. Usually people don't show that, but sometimes there's tips and tricks that you need to do in order to do it properly. So let's jump into reinstalling the fan. Okay, so installing, remember you need to have the flange oriented so that you can actually get your wrench in there. Recommend just getting your wrench on there. Just makes your life a little bit easier. Now, take your fan and insert the bolt for the middle in it. And you should be able to gently lower this down. Careful not to hit your radiator. Avoid any damage. You don't need any Loctite or anything on this. Just gently bring that down. And I guess what you're looking for, I should say, is there is a little ring on there, and you want to just put that ring inside of there's a hole in the pulley where that will sit. So we'll get that down. We'll get the fan on its lip there. So you can see now the fan is on. And we will just thread that bolt in by hand a little bit. All right, next you're going to take your flat bar with the 8mm hex key on it. And on this kit, there's a grub screw, which is vital for keeping that hex key in its position there. And you will just gently insert that. And just need to tighten it up a little bit more. There is a faster way. If you don't have your belt on, you can spin the pulley, and that will help you get it on there faster, but we don't need to. It's not that long of a bolt. So once you've got the fan secure, you'll see a good fan clutch barely moves. You need to tighten this down to 45 Newton meters, which basically just means tight. Now, because the fan is spinning in the same direction as it's threaded, this is not reverse threaded, that it'll kind of self-tighten, so just nice and tight. This is where that wrench comes in handy. There we go. 65mm wrench, nice and easy. Okay, now that you have your fan on there and that's a nice fan clutch, it's not free spinning, we need to grab the fan shroud ring first, because you can't fit this on if you try and go second. So the way this goes is, well, you're the mechanic, so you've got top, open, close, but just have the writing face you. Slide that down there, and then just send it on the front of the engine there. So we'll come back for that. And then we want to grab the fan shroud. So this one has 2 tabs at the bottom and 1 tab at the side, and then 1 tab up top. And that's what we need to line up with. See right there in the center of the screen, 1 hole there for the tab, 1 hole there, and then on the side, that little tab there in the center of the screen, and then the tab there. So we can just slide this guy down. Careful. There's just enough room for that, and we will try and line up this tab first. Makes life easy. That tab, and then we can go under to check. Okay, and then once you have those tabs in place and everything is aligned, you can take this metal clip. 1 metal clip goes here that I took off earlier. And then the other just goes over here. Okay, now take your fan ring, and it's pretty straightforward, but there's just a few things to line up, which you can't really see down. But at the top is a bump that says top, and it says open this way and close this way. And right here is where this top piece needs to end, because that's where our ring lock will go after. So we can get it roughly there. And you can see there's all these bumps and nodules that we kind of just need to line up. All right, just a little finicky, and there we go. So we can put this guy back in. Boom. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to uninstall and reinstall your fan on a Mercedes M120 V12 engine. If you love this tutorial, please like this video. It helps me out a lot. Also, if you need the kit, please use the shopping link in the description below. And please subscribe to this channel. I do lots of product reviews, as well as I work on this thing, my 1998 SL600. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you later.